Welcome back to a little bit of cheese, your bite-sized Wisconsin sports podcast. I'm your host, Cody Depius. That is Sam Douglas. It is Monday, December 16th, 2024. The Packers coming off a big Sunday night football victory, 30-13 over the Seattle Seahawks. We got to see Sam Howell in that game because Geno Smith went out in the third quarter due to an ankle injury. It was a kind of a scary game towards the beginning of the fourth quarter. I felt a little bit of uneasiness. You can look at the score and think that Green Bay dominated from the start to the finish, but I don't think that was the case here. But I do think there are a lot of good things to take away from this game. Jordan Love, 20 for 27, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, another great day, 26 carries, 94 yards, 1 touchdown. He also had 40 yards receiving. The defense, I think, was the biggest story here. Edgerrin Cooper should have had 2 interceptions. He also had a sack and 4 tackles. He looked incredible. He is the reason that my Zoom name today is Houston. We have a linebacker. I had people texting me on my phone kind of asking who this Edgerrin Cooper was. Kind of casual fans or whatnot. One was my great uncle, and I was like, he's been hurt all year, but he's very talented. We've been excited for this. We've been waiting for this, and now we finally get to see it. And last night, I think, was kind of that breakout performance for Edgerrin Cooper. But Sam, I want your overall takes. How did you feel overall about the win?
Overall, we got to start with Edgerrin Cooper, man. He's the guy. He's the guy of the day, the man of the yesterday. And hopefully the man of the defense going forward. Coming in hot. He's the monster of the week. I mean, it's there's one name that deserves it right now. Like you said, 7 tackles, 2 of them tackles for losses, 2 passes defensed, 2 quarterback hits, a sack and a pick. Should have been 2 picks. Defense looked hot. Both the Packers and the Packer fans showed up to Seattle ready
Yeah.
for the Sunday night game on their first. So we went down first 10 out of the 11 plays that we ran. Josh Jacobs was touching the ball. We went in there on a mission. We took the ball right away. You love to see it. I hope we keep doing that going forward. Set the tone. Seattle got the ball. And the place was rocking. They had a third down, and the place you were hearing "Go Pack, go!" The place was rocking, and just it felt like the Packers were there for the win the whole time. And then the defensive line started showing up, couple picks. It was a little bit of nerve wracking going in the early part of the fourth quarter, late third quarter. When Sam Howell's in the game, I'm not losing too much sleep. You kind of
Yeah.
wait for the mistakes to happen there. And the defense, man, they showed up big. We were waiting for something like this all season long. 7 sacks as the team, 12 quarterback hits as a team. It was just a big day. So
That,
so you love to see a couple picks. Carrington Valentine got in the action too.
yeah, he did. And he dropped an interception right before he actually caught his too. Like we were about to light him up for the day, but he made up for it. And you got to see a performance out of that. You want to see that out of those young cornerbacks. We said we needed somebody to step up, and Valentine did for at least that one play. I think he had a pretty solid game overall as well. But you talked about the 7 sacks as a team. That'll bring me to my monster of the week. Kingsley Enagbare, he had the
Yeah.
2 sacks. He looked great. I also thought that Brenton Cox off the edge too. I'm seeing spin moves. Like I'm seeing something different where when it's Lucas Van Ness, he's just trying to bull rush every single play. I saw Enagbare. I saw even Aaron Mosby, Brenton Cox. They're trying something a little bit different. Cox, he had his sack as well at the end of the game, but Green Bay, the defense, that's who should get, I think, a lot of the credit today. I think overall the performance for Jordan Love, he missed 1 throw. I remember to Romeo Dobbs, but I think overall was a pretty solid performance. And I think this is something that Packers fans can get used to with how good Josh Jacobs has been. I think this is just a really good game where we can sit and look back and say, this is a run first football team. That is what the Green Bay Packers are. That is not what they've been with their 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And that was okay because they were Hall of Fame quarterbacks. But now when you have a guy like Josh Jacobs and you can take the weight off of your quarterback, I think that just means so much more. And I think it shows the capabilities of how high this offense can get. And I'm excited about it. I think a run first team with a lot of talent at running back, I think, is an offense that could do anything. And the defense, you got to be able to make up for your lack of depth at cornerback. And they're able to do it with the pass rush yesterday, taking advantage
Yeah.
of a weak Seattle offensive line. Do you have any worries going forward? What are your hopes for the next couple weeks here as the Packers cruise out the rest of the regular season?
I love that we play New Orleans next week. think that's going to be bad television for a Monday night game. New Orleans, the wheels are falling off over there. They have no intention of bringing Olave back anytime soon. That just tells me they are here for next year. Their injury, I think they're on quarterback number 24 or something like that. Um, So I like that, but there is still a hole on this defensive backfield. Even yesterday, Jackson Smith-Njigba had 10 catches on his 12 targets of the day. So even though DK wasn't targeted as much as I thought that they should have, they really should have just been throwing the ball because that's the holes
Mhm.
in the defense. But when our defense is able to get pressure on the quarterback, it helps the soft defensive backfield that we know is
Yes.
weak back there. Yeah, we got a couple picks, but those are attributed to the pass rush that we were getting going yesterday.
Mhm.
So there is still a hole back there, but if we got Coop playing like this, if Barre is playing like this, that sure as heck is helping the defensive backfield. And I talked with you about this a little bit the other day. I'm not worried about this Jair Alexander situation. If he's not having the surgery, he's planning on playing a little bit yet this year. If he needs plenty of time, if he doesn't play a snap until the playoffs, that's fine with me. The defense is doing enough of its job. We've got three games that we should win coming up, whether it's the Saints, the Vikings, and the Bears. Obviously, Vikings is going to be a big game. I don't feel the need to rush Jair back if he's not 100%. Throw him in the playoffs. Let him play 20 snaps. Give him the third downs and the big plays. And I think the pieces are all there for this defense to be 100% legitimate at exactly the right time. The Packers are peaking at the right time. It's looking good, Cody.
I think that would be a pleasant surprise. That's the way I look at this Jair Alexander situation. A PCL is a pretty significant tear. It's the one that's keeping Christian McCaffrey off of the field right now. If they're able to get him out on the field in any capacity, I would have the expectations set really low, just for the fact that they already tried to bring him back in that Chicago game. It
Mhm.
took 10 plays on the field and he re-aggravated it, which is why they're taking it as slow as possible. But that's something without reconstructive surgery, your PCL doesn't heal back. It doesn't reconstruct itself. So even if Jair is back out there, he's probably going to be closer to 60% than he is to 100%. So you're going to need him on those close press plays. And if, like you said, if it's a close, short third down situation and you can bring out Jair, I think that would be good. Even just having his experience out there on the field is going to be better than what Green Bay has in perchance a Eric Stokes, like just for example. But I just don't have the expectations too high for that because it is a serious injury and they knew this, and that's why they haven't given us a return on Jair Alexander. And I will also say it was really weird that they have him practicing in full, but then they don't have him out there for the game. And they knew on Friday right away. They had him out there for Wednesday and Thursday practice in full, and he didn't return on Friday. And they said nothing happened. There wasn't anything that went on wrong, but they knew that it wasn't going to play. So we can speculate as much as we want, but I think Peter Bukowski had a Twitter thread on it. He argued with a bunch of fans. I thought it was great, but it was weird. And the bottom line is that's true. And I think the situation for Jair and maybe for the rest of his time in Green Bay is going to be pretty weird going forward.
Yeah,
But
I see that as a good thing, 100% a good thing. If he's practicing, but they're holding him out, the body is there enough to be getting reps in. So when you're playing, when you're DB, you're running a play or two at a time. I don't need him 100%. If he's good enough to do some practicing right now, I see this as 100% a good thing. We don't need him for another 4 weeks. If he's able to practice last week, weird, but like got to be a step in the right direction.
you don't need to be good to practice. You don't need to look good to practice. Like I just think like the speed that he's going to have, the ability to cut like that is all going to be hindered by it. Like you are not going to see even because I don't even think the Jair Alexander that we have now is close to the Jair Alexander you had 2 years ago because that Jair Alexander was bar none the best cover corner in the
Oh yeah.
NFL. Of course, he had the shoulder injury. He can't tackle like he did when he was a rookie, playing with that junkyard dog mentality. He's just a little bit slower now, too. And now you're throwing a knee injury in there, too, like a pretty serious knee injury. Like you're going to get a shell of what a Jair Alexander can bring. So I would be excited to see a Jair Alexander, but I'm going to keep those expectations real low for right now. And if resting him right now and not having him playing games is good for when he gets to the playoffs, then you can bring him in for some situations.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. Whatever Jair Alexander we can get in a Packers uniform, I'm taking as a pleasant surprise is the way that I'll put it. Do you have any final thoughts on this Packer game? I know you kind of said you're excited for that New Orleans game. That's going to be just a blowout. That's going to be bad. I don't even know how much I want to see Josh Jacobs play in that game. I think you can kind of
That's
take a
fair.
load off. I think that could be a good Emmanuel Wilson game. Maybe get
I
Chris
think
Brooks
so.
in there a little bit. Like,
I love it. No final thoughts. I had one little note down. Watched the Jets game yesterday. It was an electric game from Aaron Rodgers as they big dynamite matchup against the Jaguars. That was
yeah,
beautiful.
that
But
was
Rodgers led the team in rushing, and so I was watching that game. I had a little bit of money on the line, so I was very interested. Rodgers led the team in rushing, 65 rush yards. Jordan Love, take a page out of this book, man. Being a running quarterback can be so
oh,
beneficial. If Aaron Rodgers can be running, and that's a dynamic play for a crappy offense, imagine what it could do. Just a couple rushes. That's all I'm asking. Watch a little bit more Rodgers footage. I know that's exactly what Jordan Love wants to be doing.
no, no,
I'm
that's not
dying
you
on this
pay
hill, Cody. I want
you
Love to
you
be running the ball.
you pay Josh Jacobs to be your running back. If you got to go pick up a first down when it's 3rd and 6, yeah, go do that. But anything else, no, I'm fine with him staying in the pocket or at least staying behind the line of scrimmage. I don't need your $260 million man to take any extra hits. But we can shift gears on that note. You got your Bucks flag in the back. The Bucks are the only team in NBA history to make both semifinals for the NBA Cup. They got their win over the Atlanta Hawks last Saturday, 110-102 over the Hawks. Giannis having one of those Giannis games, 32 points, 14 rebounds, 9 assists, and one of those clutch blocks that I've probably seen 100 times since he was able to make it happen. I think this might be the best Giannis Antetokounmpo we have seen in his career, and the Bucks an opportunity to take home an NBA Cup tomorrow at 6:30, taking on OKC.
Huge game. I love it. This is so cool. You said this is the best Giannis that we've seen. I was thinking about it, and I agree with you. And this is it. This is a player who won an MVP, who won a unanimous MVP, who won an MVP and DPOI in the same year, who just did
Mm-hmm.
30 points on 60% shooting for the first time. And he's still getting better. One of the big what ifs for Giannis's career was what if he could hit a jump shot? Don't look now. He's starting to hit his mid range. It was always what if he could hit a jump shot. The other big what if for me for Giannis was what if he could act a little bit more controlled. He's always had a little bit of this Russell Westbrook, a little bit too aggressive
Mm-hmm.
mentality because he wasn't a shooter. You know, he's a get to the cup kind of guy. And that's what we're seeing this year. We're seeing Giannis be a little bit more careful. He's a little bit more controlled, a little bit more focused. He's not fouling out. He's not taking as running in as many charges as he used to. He's playing a little bit more finesse. He's passing the ball really. He's always been a good passer, but the controlled Giannis is a different animal.
He's the
Um,
savvy veteran instead of the athletic freak. Like he's still the athletic freak, don't get me wrong, but now he's also the savvy veteran that just looks like he's been in every situation that he's in.
it's incredible. When if Giannis is getting smart and the game is slowing down for him, this league is in big trouble. The Giannis and Dame pick and roll, the league is also in big trouble. It
Mm-hmm.
has been breaking brains, and this is a Hawks team that matches up really well against us. This is a big win. The Hawks don't seem like a top contender in the East. They match up well. They've got a bunch of athletic wings. Jalen Johnson was giving us fits. You hate to say it, but like there's a terrible whistle in this game. I think we had four guys at 5 fouls at the end of the game,
Yeah.
another couple at four. AJ Green ended up fouling out, and Trey Young was playing incredible. So for a team for the Bucks to pull that off, it came down to Giannis clutch defense, a huge shot from a role player in Andre Jackson, and Dame closing it out on the offensive and defensive side. For some reason, Dame just keeps getting wide open layups to close out games, which I'm a big fan of. Bobby
Right.
Portis has been huge on the boards. I think somebody poked Bobby and said, "Hey man, your offense isn't it right now. Go get boards." And he's been averaging almost 10 boards for a couple weeks now. So the Bobby evolution changed him from that black hole on offense, and now he's getting efficient shots. Chris is starting a little slow, but the Bucks are looking really good. It's very complimentary basketball.
Yes, it is. And I was able to actually watch a good chunk of that game against Atlanta. And I like also what AJ Green brings to the table. Like you talk about a guy like
Mhm.
him or Andre Jackson Jr. Like those guys add a lot of value to this team. that needed it. Like they needed those guys. They need that depth. And you're seeing those guys really have integral parts of this team. I'm excited. How hyped are you if they can? Would you be if they won the cup tomorrow against OKC? Like what would your celebration do you think be?
My celebration, I'm going to Who's on Third and getting their finest whiskey.
I
I'd
don't even
be
know what the
excited.
finest whiskey is at Who's on Third.
Jameson Orange. Uh,
That probably the tastiest. Yeah.
it's exciting. This is cool. It's high level basketball. It's competitive. It's high level basketball. Look, you talk about like what matters, and I was thinking about Dave had this quote a couple years ago. Basketball doesn't matter. It's not what's important in life. You know, we're watching grown men dribble a ball for entertainment, and they're making millions. Does it matter? No. But if you're a basketball fan and you want to see competitive high level basketball, this NBA Cup is awesome. It's not the NBA Finals. This isn't the same legacy that Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan were all doing. No, but it's different. This is a young Thunder team playing really, really well right now, arguably the best full roster in the league against the Bucks team, which has been highly hyped with maybe the two of the five best players in the league, two top 75 players right now, arguably the MVP going against the young Thunder team. This is awesome. This is what it's all about, baby, and it's going on in Vegas, and I would love to see the Bucks pull it off. This is cool. I'm excited.
I
On
think
a
it is. I
Tuesday
think
night in December. What?
right. I think this is kind of what the NBA envisioned exactly for like your NBA Cup final. I think this is a good game. Of course, we're saying that in small market Milwaukee, small market Wisconsin, but I
Mhm.
think you're going to get the product on the floor that you wanted. Both these teams playing very well. It's very exciting. It's what the finals should be for any tournament. And I think they got the right teams there. I do want to touch on this. The Milwaukee Brewers, Devin Williams trade last Friday. Sam, you were off going crazy, so you weren't able to join me that day, but you're back now, and I want to get your overall thoughts. Devin Williams to the New York Yankees. In return, Nestor Cortez and Caleb Durbin.
I like the Cortez pickup. I do. I like a little bit of beef in the starting rotation. You're gonna hate to see Devin Williams go. Um, this kid, the prospect, sounds like he's pretty fast too. I haven't seen a whole lot of him
And I'll
play.
put it this way. In the Arizona Fall League, I think he played 24 games and he stole 29 bases. He broke
That's
the
awesome.
all-time league record. Yeah.
Yeah, him and Murph are going to get along just fine.
Yep.
So add another speedy cat to the lineup. At some point, I want to see us get another bat going as well. But look, Devin Williams, he was a stronghold. He was an absolute machine for this Brewers team. He was a rookie of the year. He's a two-time All-Star. I think two-time reliever of the year as well. He
Yeah.
put together a hell of a little career in Milwaukee. It's sad to see him go. His last inning for us makes it a little bit easier here, if I'm going to be honest.
I think
Giving up that,
overall playoff performance or
yeah.
lack thereof makes this a lot easier for me, is the way that I'll put it. It's like you can always say you want to have those superstars to go win a World Series. Well, Devin Williams has had the opportunity to go help this team go and win playoff games, and he has actually been a hindrance in the opportunities that he's had. And I talked about that last week, but I think he has an over 23 ERA in the playoffs. And there was one playoffs he didn't even pitch because he punched the wall and broke his hand. So I'm thank you, Devin, for what you did in Milwaukee, but I think he's kind of going to get lost in conversation when you look years down the road. Like I feel like he's going to be a trivia answer, like who won two-time National League reliever of the year between this time and this time, and
Yeah.
people are going to say Josh Hader because he was right next to him pretty much his entire career, his upbringing in Milwaukee. Hader was there as well, and Devin Williams is kind of just, I think, going to be in that shadow. And I think the fact that he was hurt for a good chunk of this year also makes it easier to watch him go because the bullpen was still able to succeed without Devin Williams at the back end.
The bullpen was fantastic, and that has been such a stronghold for this Brewers team for a long time. And I think this is a good opportunity for us to just balance the scales a little bit. You know, the Council Run team was so dedicated to that bullpen and getting guys in the fifth and sixth innings. So if we can have a really strong 1 through 5 starting rotation, I think that's going to balance the scales. This pitching staff that always overperforms.
Yeah, I think so as well. There have also been reports today that the Milwaukee Brewers are, quote, open to trading Rhys Hoskins, What would your thoughts be on this? Hoskins is going to be getting paid 18 million this year, and then he has a $4 million buyout next year. So they could have an opportunity to save a little bit of cash. I want your thoughts on the possibility of Hoskins getting shipped out.
I'm all right with it. I'm all in favor. He was a great veteran presence for us last year. Now you get a little bit of everybody 1 year older. And he wasn't hitting all that good. He had a couple good home runs for us. He got a little bit hot towards the end of the year. I want us to get a average hitter, somebody who can hit 260, 270. And that might be a lot to ask, but if you can get someone who can get on base, this team can manufacture runs. Reese felt like a little bit of an outlier in this lineup. Maybe you
Mm-hmm.
do need that one guy who can, step up and with some pop, but he never really felt like he fit in this lineup.
Yeah, and I think last year there was just a lack of performance at the end of it for Rhys Hoskins. And even when you put it that way, he hit 220. He struck out a lot. He did hit 26 home runs, but he was coming off of that ACL surgery. What I'll say about it is I like Hoskins on this roster. I think you're going to see an improvement next year. I would be surprised if Rhys Hoskins plays more than 130 games if he doesn't hit over 30 home runs. I think he's too talented, at least in the power category. I think that average can get back up to 245, 250. And right now, I think you would be selling low. I don't know how much you would be able to get back. You'd probably find a team that would eat a little bit of his contract and give you a low level prospect. And I think where you're saying you want to have that bat in the lineup, I think that bat can find a resurgence for Rhys Hoskins. He's been in this league a long time. He was in a completely new situation last year, a newly repaired knee, a new franchise, a new city, a new everything. He struggled, and he also dealt with some injuries last year. So I'm going to bet on Rhys Hoskins. I don't think they're going to trade him because I don't think he has that much value next year. And I think he's going to be able to help this team in a lot of good ways. He's that first baseman that we were asking for in Milwaukee. We're saying go out, spend some money, get that bat.
Yeah.
Last year, Rhys was that bat, and he just didn't perform how he wanted him to. I still think he can do that next year. That's kind of where I'll leave
That
that conversation.
that
So
makes a lot
your
of sense.
overall
It's
outlook on the Brewers?
I
Like
like
this?
it. We're making action, and that's what you love to see out of the Brewers. Sometimes this is a team that you're kind of waiting for us to do something splashy, and moving Devin Williams is splashy enough. So,
Mhm.
and I guess that's where I'm falling with the Reese thing as well. If we have something big planned, then let's move on from him, use that money towards something better. But if we're not going to go make that next big move, then let's keep what we have, run it back, let everybody get better. It sounds like a lot like almost a Bobby Portis situation to me. You only move on from that if you're absolutely getting better.
Yeah.
Somebody might be out there to fill that role, but are you really going to mess with things too much to a point? So I like what the Brewers are doing. They're being actionable. They're always working on the bullpen, still waiting for a bat, and I think they're going to find it.
I think they will in some capacity. I think Durbin provides a lot. I don't know. I was watching his highlights. The power's not there, but he's a kid that works a good at bat. Of course, he's dangerous on the base paths. He can play multiple positions. He's not that big bat that you might not want, Sam, but I think he's one that will fit in nicely into this Brewers lineup. And I'll also say I think you might find that bat in just another year of Jackson Churio and
Love
hopefully a healthy designated hitter Christian Yelich. If you get a full year of
him.
Christian Yelich, I think that's exactly the bat that you're looking for at the end of the year. Because we forget, like, that team was right there. They still won 93 games, and I think Yelich was only a part of that team for, I think, 90 games. He wasn't there for the playoffs. Like, you get him back and even get him to, he was almost at like an MVP level when he got hurt last year. And of course, then the back surgery is out for the year. If he can get back to hitting 290, maybe pop out 20 home runs, I think that's that bat you're looking for. So I think the guys can do it. Yes, I would love to see him go do something else, but don't be surprised if they don't. I think they feel pretty happy and pretty comfortable. And I do have my trust and faith in Matt Arnold. He's done a great job. I really like the Williams trade. I think that might be, it could end up being one of his better moves when it's all said and done at the end of this offseason. Some big news for Badger football today. Former San Diego State quarterback Danny O'Neal, who was in the transfer portal, has officially committed to Wisconsin as a true freshman last year, which I believe he is the first true freshman to start at quarterback since 1969 for San Diego State University. The team was not good, but Danny O'Neal, he looked all right. He went 3-9 was the record, so you don't like to see that. But a quarterback who liked to run a little bit and then passing, 63% completion percentage, had 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I don't think Wisconsin's done yet, but you love to see Fickle going out there and putting in more work on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, that's huge. If he's got playing experience, that's big. You can come in as a sophomore now and not be rattled. You can show up to this big time. I think he took his opportunity at San Diego State and made the most out of it. Yeah, he's getting in the transfer portal, going Big Ten. He's going to get some big time opportunities if he's going to be playing for us. So that's sweet. Good for him. Good for the Badgers, and let's keep these big recruits coming on in.
Yeah, they got a couple of defensive linemen as well. A tight end last year who played for Ball State. I think he caught over 80 passes, and Wisconsin hasn't seen production at the tight end position since Troy Fumagalli. Jake Ferguson was getting it done too.
Right.
Those are the last ones, but it's been a rough time, at least in the Fickle tenure at tight end. So maybe you can start to see a little bit more out of that. And of course, with the new hire at offensive coordinator going to be switching some things. I think you might see a little bit of read option out of a guy like Danny O'Neal. He's a pretty athletic guy. He can roll outside of the pocket. And as a true freshman, you saw a lot of ability out of him at San Diego State. So I think there's
I love a running quarterback, Cody.
Yeah, I know you do. So much that you want your sitting in the pocket guy who's got a Hall of Fame level talent arm. You want him to go take off 8 times a game. Yeah, no thanks. I'm all right with that. I like my guy not on the injured list or being in question for injury. Or I love my Lamar Jackson. I love what Russell Wilson did when he was young because that was strengths. I don't know if running is going to be a strength for Jordan Love. When I see him get past the line of scrimmage, I'm saying, get down, like immediately. That's what I want. Like if you got to go get the first down, get it, and then hit the deck immediately. We don't want to see Jordan get hurt. We had that scare already once this year. I don't need that. If it's the playoffs, yeah, and you got to take off. I'm all right with it. But regular season games, now you got 17 of them. You can be careful. I'm okay.
If he's holding off until the playoffs and he starts running in the playoffs, I'll be a happy camper.
I think I would be too. Win ball games and stay on the field. We can shift gears here moving quickly, but we can go right into the cheese grater. And I'll kick it off today. So the big NBA Cup final game tomorrow, the Bucks taking on the OKC Thunder. This is a young, exciting team. They have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He is an MVP candidate. What is the game plan tomorrow for the Milwaukee Bucks to go and take the cup?
You gotta stop Shai. And as I'm saying that, it sounds so much easier than it's going to be because we don't have this point guard defensive guy. But I think that has to be the game plan. Whether it's going to work or not, that's how we need to play these guys. Let the offense figure itself out. Giannis has to be dominant. They don't have a big guy who can stop Giannis. So when Giannis and Brooke are on the floor, you got to take advantage of those post points. But defensively, if we can't stop Shai, we're going to be in trouble. If that means let Ajax on him, let him be a dog, pick up 6 fouls, and get out by the third quarter just because that's how you're playing him, then that's how it's got to be. But if the Bucks want any chance at winning, we struggle with athletic guards, and there's not much of a better point guard weapon in the league right now than SGA.
Yeah, he's special, and Milwaukee has struggled in that sense on defending the point guard. So we'll see how they try to combat that tomorrow. I think you're going to see a bit of a shootout from both sides here.
Gotta be like that. Are you keeping it with the Bucks a little bit? Are you sold on Doc?
Am I sold on Doc? I'm content with Doc. I think we can be a little bit excited just the fact that there's Hall of Fame talent there. No, I don't think Doc Rivers is I'll even say top 10 coach in the NBA. But Milwaukee, they went out, they fired Budenholzer. You had Griffin come in. He went, 32-13 or whatever. I don't know. A really solid record. You decided they weren't playing good enough defense. You shipped him out, and you were kind of left scrambling. So, yes, I think that Doc Rivers at that exact situation was the best guy they can go get. course, I don't see him as a long-term solution, but you have to pay him for that contract because you don't want to be paying four head coaches. So I don't think you can fire him, and I don't think there are grounds to fire him at this point. I think this team can go win the NBA Finals, yes, but I'm not going to give Doc all the praise here. I don't think they're winning because of Doc. I think they're winning with Doc. That's kind of where I'll stand on that. So after all the fun yesterday, a really exciting Detroit Buffalo Bills game. Who is the best team in the NFL? You can just give me your top five right now. And I do also want to hear where Green Bay stands.
Top five right now. Hey, David Montgomery injury, that sucks to hear. This Lions team keeps getting injured, man. That's, and yeah, they're an NFC North rival, but it's really tough to watch this Lions team just get rocked with injuries. So that's going to impact them. Bills got to be number one. I think they're playing the best football right now. They just took out Detroit. Yeah, they had a tough one against LA last week, but I think the Bills are the best team in the league right now. Josh Allen is so fun to watch. He's got to be the best TV in the NFL. I got Cincinnati Bengals at number two. I wish.
Oh.
I still got the Lions at number two. I think we saw an awesome game yesterday. Chiefs got to be three. Hey, they keep winning. They're going to rest Mahomes. He always
You're
ends
a
up
Philly
with
hater.
I am a bit of a Philly hater. I don't know. I don't believe in Jalen Hurts. If he's someone who's going to make mistakes, he's not Jameis Winston. But a little bit, he's going to give the ball away at some point in the game. And that's something that's plagued him his whole career. And it's never been something he's been able to shake. I do love their offensive line and their running game. So let's see. We got Buffalo, Detroit, Kansas City, Philly, and Green Bay, man.
Got Green Bay at five. And then
Yeah,
Baltimore. You take Green Bay over Baltimore right now?
Yes, because the reason Baltimore hasn't had this postseason success is they have a fatal flaw. They have something that can really mess them up in a big game. And that's what we've been seeing at this Packers team is everything's complementing each other. If we can get a defensive rush, who can help the backfield. We have Josh Jacobs complementing Jordan Love, and we don't have that one defensive back a little bit, but we don't have that glaring flaw. And I think to make a deep playoff run, that's what you need. And that's my reservation with Philly and with Baltimore. And that's why I feel good about Kansas City, Detroit, and Buffalo.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think I am pretty much right with you step for step. Maybe Philly a little bit higher. I think I'm higher on them. But I will also comment that I think it's weird, the coaching situation there. There's a video that was going around Twitter where Sirianni was trying to talk to Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle, and the defensive line coach got in Sirianni's face and he backed off when they were trying to talk. Like there's some stuff going on there, and it's really weird. I don't know. It was a weird video where you don't see a head coach ever get told off on his own sideline, but that did happen yesterday in Philly, even in a big blowout win. They were up by 2 touchdowns, and the defensive line coach told off Sirianni. So I will say there's some weird stuff going on there. I would not be surprised with a first-round exit for Philly, as weird as that sounds. Like, you saw what happened last year, and I think you got good reason to doubt them. That's what I'll put. But, yeah.
Well, NFC North is dominating this year. Is that going to be the case next year, or who's going to be the best division in football next year?
I think the NFC North is going to continue to be tough. Minnesota, I think, is your biggest question. And Chicago, you're going to have 2 playoff teams out of the NFC North, 100%. Green Bay and Detroit, they're not going anywhere. We'll see if Minnesota can keep it up. I think they're overperforming this year. I've said that probably every single episode of A Little Bit of Cheese for ever since it existed. Chicago, I only see Caleb Williams getting better. They have to nail that head coaching hire, though, or they're going to continue to stay in the dirt. So, I mean, 2 playoff teams, I think you still consider that being a gauntlet. And Minnesota, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle their quarterback situation with Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy. Do you sign Darnold, or do you let him walk and you just give everything to McCarthy? I think that's going to be interesting. And you would assume that they make the right decision, and we'll see where that goes. But I think you have at least 2 playoff teams and probably a third. And who knows with Chicago? That's a complete wild card there. And by wild card, I don't think they're going to the wild card, but they could, maybe.
They're also due for a 2-15 season at any time. So
Yeah, that's true as well. And yeah, I don't know. I do feel for Bears fans. I'm sorry that your team sucks so bad. I know it sucks to watch your team just be awful and unwatchable and tear your heart out. Because as a Packers fan, we're complaining about it. Like I see people on Twitter complaining about the Green Bay at 10-4 right now, and they have defeated the Cardinals, the Rams, and now the Seahawks. Like they're defeating the whole West too. Like they're just taking out entire divisions. Yes, they lost to Philly, Minnesota, and Detroit twice, but I think there's a pretty wide consensus. You look at the records, those are some pretty good football teams. They're beating up on everybody too. I think Green Bay's right there. I always think there's an opportunity for a Super Bowl. I do want to feel more comfortable with Jordan Love though. I don't know if he could do it without Josh Jacobs. Like if you didn't have Jacobs in the backfield, I don't know how confident I would be going into the playoffs. But Green Bay, they might have saw that right at the beginning of the season too, and that's why they went out and got him. And I think that they get to reap all the benefits of that. So kudos to Goody. Absolutely. Aside from cornerback, what is Green Bay's greatest flaw?
gotta be the defensive backfield. Greatest flaw. I'll give it the
So I
defense.
said corner. Yeah,
Oh, you beside cornerback. For
corner.
some
I
reason
didn't
I heard
say
you.
quarterback. No,
Um,
quarterback
I will
is.
say the can I hedge a little bit and say the defense playing complementary football,
Yeah.
whether it's one or the other. And so last night we saw them play complementary football a little bit. We didn't see that against Minnesota earlier in the year. You can have the picks from Xavier McKinney. It means nothing if you're getting 0 sacks. You can have 4 sacks a game, but it means nothing if somebody's catching the ball 12 times in a game. Haven't seen it
Mhm.
yet, but that the complementary defense needs to happen. And I think the linebacking core that we've been waiting for to come all year, that seems like it's showing up at the right time. That's going to be the glue between your defensive front and the back. So if the linebacking core can play good and we can get the defense complementing each other, tackle them for loss on first down, and make good third down stops. That's the key.
Yeah, I think so. And I think we saw a lot of it yesterday. So continue that. Absolutely.
Pop quiz. Last
Mm.
last greater question for you. What pitcher on the Brewers has had the most home runs in team history? I will give you a hint. It's post 1995, and Rowdy
So you're
Tellez
saying
does not count
as a hitter? Yes. Okay.
as a hitter.
It's
Which
got to be
which
Giovanni
pitch was that?
Gallardo.
Does it? On the
I
head,
think
baby.
so. Yeah. No, Yo was such a hitter, man. No, Giovanni Gallardo was you. I loved watching him hit. Grinke was a really good hitter too, but he didn't spend that much time in Milwaukee. But no, Milwaukee, they had some good hitters. And I think Giovanni, he won the Silver Slugger one year. He was like a over 200 hitter, like as a pitcher. Like he was kind of a monster. I remember him hitting some tanks in Colorado. So yeah.
How many?
Oh, I think probably total in his career, I'm gonna say 5.
Oh, come on.
More than that?
12.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of bombs. All right, we're gonna have to hit it quick here. The headline prediction for next week. Packers put the Saints to sleep. Spencer gets rattled.
Ooh, love it. Southern hospitality at its finest. New Orleans lets Green Bay feel right at home in a 35-9 routing.
Ooh, yeah, I think that's what we're going to be looking for. So exciting stuff from this weekend. We'll be watching the Bucks tomorrow, and we'll be back on Friday with another edition. I'm your host, Cody Depius. That is Sam Douglas. We want to thank you for being here. We'll see you once again this week for another edition of A Little Bit of Cheese, your bite-sized Wisconsin sports podcast.